You feel it coming, that clear, definite urge. You walk to the bathroom, sit down, and nothing. Or worse, a small, hard piece passes, and you're left with that frustrating feeling that something is still in there, still lodged at the exit point. If that sounds familiar, you're not mistaken. The stool really is stuck, not high up in your colon, but low in the rectum itself. And that is a distinctly different problem from regular constipation, which is precisely why many laxatives don't work. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you why this happens, the 1 teaspoon remedy that can get things moving in as little as 30 minutes, and how to stop it from coming back. Here's the crucial point most individuals rarely learn. There are 2 distinct forms of constipation, and they need 2 very different solutions. The first kind happens high up. Stool moves too slowly through the colon, dries out during its journey, and takes days to reach the exit. That's what most laxatives are designed for. The second kind is the situation you are encountering. The stool has already descended. It reached the rectum, but once it got there, it stopped. It cannot pass. This is called outlet constipation or dyschezia, and it is exceptionally common, especially after age 50. So, why does it get stuck just before the final exit? Consider the rectum a temporary chamber. It's the last few inches before the exit. Wrapped around the bottom of it is a muscle called the puborectalis, which functions like a sling. When you're standing or sitting upright on a modern toilet, that sling causes the rectum to kink, almost like a garden hose with a bend in it. That kink is what maintains continence during the day. But when it's time to go, that muscle has to relax. If it doesn't, the stool encounters the bend and halts. On top of that, when stool sits in the rectum too long, the body keeps reabsorbing water from it. So the longer it waits, the firmer and drier it grows. Eventually, you get a dense plug at the very exit that simply will not pass by itself. Common causes include insufficient fiber, inadequate water intake, ignoring the urge during busy periods, certain medications like opioids and iron supplements, some blood pressure drugs, pelvic floor muscles that struggle to relax, and the straightforward reality that these issues become more prevalent with age. When you push, it often worsens. Straining doesn't open that kink, it tightens it. And it increases your risk of hemorrhoids, fissures, and even prolapse. So, let's turn to what truly works. When the stool is already stuck in the rectum, you don't need something that traverses your entire digestive system for 2 days. You need something that pulls water into the stool that's already present there right away. The remedy is 1 TSP of milk of magnesia, that's magnesium hydroxide, to be consumed on an empty stomach with a full glass of water. This is why it functions effectively when other methods fail. Magnesium hydroxide is what's called an osmotic agent. To put it simply, it draws water from nearby tissues and into the stool, so that firm, dry mass residing in your rectum starts to soften from the inside. Within 30 minutes to a few hours, most people experience the urge again, and this time, bowel movements truly occur. 1 TSP is about 5 ml. That's it. You do not need a tablespoon. You do not need more. Taking more does not yield better results. Too much magnesium can cause loose bowel movements, cramping, and electrolyte imbalances, especially if you take it often. For occasional use, once in a while when you are genuinely impacted, 1 teaspoon is the optimal amount. A few crucial precautions. Do not use magnesium hydroxide if you have kidney disease. Your kidneys filter magnesium from your body, and if they are not functioning correctly, magnesium may accumulate to hazardous levels. Exercise caution if you have specific heart conditions or are on medications that affect your electrolytes. And if you take prescription medications, consult your personal physician. Magnesium can disrupt the absorption of certain medications, so scheduling is important. Now, if you prefer something more localized and even quicker, there's a second option, a glycerin suppository. You insert it into the rectum, and it works precisely where the issue exists. It draws water into the stool and mildly encourages the rectal wall to contract. Most individuals experience effects within 15 to 30 minutes. For a stool that is directly at the outlet, this is often the quickest, mildest solution available, and it's available at any pharmacy without a prescription. It is advisable to avoid, particularly as a consistent practice, potent stimulant laxatives, the ones based on senna or bisacodyl. They work by irritating the bowel to induce contractions. They may cause cramping, urgency, and eventually your bowel could grow reliant on them for any movement. For an occasional impacted stool, osmotic magnesium or a glycerin suppository is a wiser, milder option. 1 TSP, empty stomach, full glass of water. That serves as the immediate remedy. However, here is a point many individuals overlook. You can take the perfect remedy and still sit on the toilet for 20 minutes without any progress because your body is in the wrong position. Remember that muscle I mentioned earlier, the puborectalis sling that bends the rectum shut? When you sit upright on a modern toilet, that kink partially remains. You're effectively requesting stool to pass through a bend. It's understandable why it becomes impacted. This adjustment requires 60 seconds to implement and significantly alters the situation. Get a small step stool, 6 to 9 in high, place it in front of your toilet and rest your feet on it. Your knees will now be positioned higher than your hips. Lean forward slightly and rest your elbows on your knees. This single change, knees above hips, body leaning forward, aligns the internal angle of your rectum. The bend straightens, the pathway clears. Now the second piece, which holds equal importance. Relax your abdomen outward. Avoid sucking it in or clenching. Allow it to relax and expand gently forward. Then breathe. Slow inhale through the nose, letting the belly expand, and a long, slow exhale through the mouth. During exhalation, just release. You are not forcing. You are allowing. This is the reverse of what many of us were taught. We were taught to hold the breath and push. That actually tightens the pelvic floor and seals the exit closed. Belly breathing signals those muscles to relax. Try this combination. Feet up, lean forward, belly out, slow exhale, and you will often feel stool that has been stuck for hours effortlessly slide out on its own. No straining, no force, simply correct mechanical action. Now let's transition from immediate relief to prevention, because the goal is not to consistently rely on milk of magnesia weekly. The goal is to make sure stool never becomes so firm initially. There are 3 specific foods that achieve this exceptionally well. Each one has solid research supporting it. Each one is affordable and readily available, and when you use them together, most people completely avoid episodes of impacted stool. The first is kiwi fruit. 2 green kiwis at dinner, that is the recommended dosage. Studies have shown that 2 kiwis a day enhance bowel movement frequency, soften stool texture, and decrease straining within just a few weeks. Kiwi contains a unique combination of soluble fiber, water-binding compounds, and a natural enzyme called actinidin that mildly aids digestion. Eat them with the skin on if you can tolerate it. That's where the majority of the fiber resides. If not, scoop out the flesh with a spoon. The second is ground flaxseed, 1 to 2 TBSP a day, stirred into water, yogurt, oatmeal, or a smoothie. The key word here is ground. Whole flax seeds pass through your system largely without effect. Ground flaxseed is different. It provides soluble fiber that absorbs water in your gut and creates a soft, gel-like substance. That mass maintains stool hydration throughout its journey to the rectum, so it never has the opportunity to harden into a plug. Start with 1 TBSP. Drink a full glass of water with it. Increase the amount gradually from there. The third is prunes, 5 to 6 prunes, or about half a cup of prune juice in the evening. Prunes are a naturally gentle laxative for good reason. They contain sorbitol, a natural sugar that functions as a mild osmotic agent, pulling water into the stool similar to magnesium, but through a slower dietary method. They also contain fiber and polyphenols that promote healthy digestive function. Research has actually shown prunes to be more potent than psyllium fiber supplements for mild constipation issues. Kiwi at dinner, ground flaxseed in the morning, several prunes in the evening. Simple, cheap, and subtly effective. Here I must address 2 of the most frequent errors I Observe, and they're the reason a lot of well-meaning people actually exacerbate their constipation. Mistake number 1, adding more fiber without adding more water. This is a significant point. Fiber works by absorbing water and forming a soft, bulky mass that moves easily through the bowel. But if you overload your system with fiber and fail to provide sufficient fluid, the reverse occurs. That fiber becomes akin to concrete. It becomes a denser, harder, drier mass, and it becomes impacted in the rectum precisely as discussed. So, if you start eating more flaxseed, more bran, more vegetables, you absolutely must increase your water intake alongside it. This is not optional. A realistic target for most adults is approximately 25 to 30 grams of fiber daily, combined with 6 to 8 cups of water. Increase intake if you are larger, more active, or in a warm climate. Mistake number 2, increasing fiber intake too rapidly. People hear fiber is good and drastically increase their intake rapidly. This often leads to bloating, gas, cramping, and potentially more severe constipation than initially experienced. Add fiber slowly. 5 additional grams weekly is sufficient. Your digestive system requires time to adapt. And one more thing, maybe the most important of all, heed the urge. When your body signals it's time to go, act promptly. The rectum has a reflex. When it fills, it sends a signal to the brain. If you repeatedly disregard that signal because you're in a meeting, because you're driving, because it's inconvenient, that reflex begins to diminish. Eventually, the rectum loses sensitivity, stool sits longer, dries out, and gets stuck. Attend to your body's initial signal. Now, before we move on, I want to share something with you that significantly altered my perspective on fiber and digestion. Because here's the unusual fact many individuals are unaware of. There is a select group of researchers who have demonstrated that for some people, eating less fiber, almost none at all, combined with one specific ingredient actually clears the bowels twice as quickly as the high fiber approach we've been taught for decades. I know how that sounds. It contradicts everything previously mentioned, but it's supported by scientific evidence, and it originates from an 8,000-year-old ingredient, what some now refer to as an aquatic gut superfood that has been utilized by more than 3 billion individuals globally. Just a small amount of it before your next meal is enough to soften accumulated waste in the intestines and restart healthy digestion within days. No strict diets, no costly probiotics, no pharmaceutical drugs. If you've dealt with impacted stool, bloating, or that heavy, sluggish sensation for months or years, you should explore how this truly functions. I've prepared a brief presentation detailing the complete technique step by step. To view it immediately, just aim your phone's camera at the on-screen QR code. It will direct you there instantly. If you're watching from a computer, there is also a link provided in the comments beneath this video that will take you to the same place. Devote a few minutes to viewing it. It could be the solution you've been seeking. Now, before we conclude, I must be direct with you regarding an important matter. Most instances of impacted stool are mechanical in nature and benign. They respond very well to all the strategies discussed thus far, but the body also provides clear indicators when a more serious condition is present, and these signals warrant attention, not neglect. Consult a physician immediately if you observe any of the following: presence of blood in the stool, particularly dark blood, or blood blended within rather than just on the exterior. A minor streak from straining is one thing. Anything beyond that warrants examination. Unintended weight loss coupled with altered bowel patterns. An abrupt change in stool shape, especially if stools consistently appear pencil thin. Constipation with a sudden onset and no apparent reason, especially if you're over the age of 45. Intense abdominal pain, vomiting, or difficulty passing gas. These may indicate a genuine obstruction, and that is an urgent medical concern. And finally, recurrent episodes of fecal impaction, where stool becomes so lodged that passage is entirely impossible, even with the remedies we've covered. This information is not intended to frighten you. Rather, it's the contrary. Understanding these warning signs provides empowerment. Often, the solution is straightforward. However, when your body sends one of these indicators, pay attention. Therefore, let's summarize everything. Impacted stool in the rectum constitutes a distinct issue, and it requires a specific solution. Regular laxatives that work high up in the colon are completely ineffective, which is why so many people believe nothing is effective. When you're currently impacted, the immediate remedy is straightforward. 1 teaspoon of milk of magnesia on an empty stomach with a full glass of water, or a glycerin suppository for something quicker and more localized. Then adopt the correct posture. Feet up on a small stool, knees above hips, lean forward, abdomen relaxed, and breathe out slowly. Release instead of straining. To prevent recurrence, 2 kiwis at dinner, a tablespoon of ground flaxseed in the morning, several prunes in the evening. Adequate water intake. Gradual fiber introduction, and the instant your body signals it's time, you act. Your body is not resisting you, it is requesting attention, heeded initially, and it will seldom need to signal again.